or not. All right, so we are continuing with Daniel here. We did Daniel chapter 6, which was Daniel in the lion's den last week, which means we are in Daniel chapter 7. And we read it last week, but we will read it again and to go through it here. And last week I suspected something was the case in our gospel, in the Matthew gospel. And I was right. So we'll talk about that too when we get to it.
We'll talk about you being right?
Yes, we will talk about how correct I am. No, it's a fun little factoid. Hi, Pam. Come on in. We just started. So like so we're in Daniel chapter 7. So we will start reading. Let's see here. So I need to hit this button and this button. Then
I guess he's good at pushing buttons.
I am real good.
Push my button several times.
Yeah. Real good. All right, here we go.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of
Technical difficulties.
What happened?
You were pushing buttons.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of
There you go. That's it.
I don't appreciate the laughing.
You're going to have to read it to us yourself.
Let's see. Well, let's try reloading the page. Watch this not work today because of this reason.
It's because you read it last week. It doesn't let you do it twice.
Oh yeah, one time through. Well, it's not even loading. All right, here, hold on. Let me stop sharing the screen for a second. Let me go over there. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what's happening.
Must be that storm that hit the Midwest.
It could be. It wouldn't surprise me if this company didn't have a ton of bandwidth. Man, come on. It's like the Zoom is working just fine. All right, here it is. Let's see if this works now. Hold on.
It goes right to pause, doesn't
Oh.
Start at 2. Start at 2. So it'll start to work.
Yeah, let's see if it'll do it too. Ooh, that's not happening. Yeah, it's not doing any of it. Let's see if this. All right, we'll start with 3 here. All right, let me get back over here and share the screen again. We shall overcome. Let's see. All right, starting with 3.
And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And suddenly, another beast, a second, like a bear. It was raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it,
"Arise, devour much flesh."
After this I looked, and there was another, like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them. before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there, in this horn, were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. I watched till thrones were put in place, and the Ancient of Days was seated. His garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was a fiery flame, its wheels a burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000 thousands ministered to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. I watched then because of the sound of the pompous words which the horn was speaking. I watched till the beast was slain, and its body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Then to him was given dominion and a glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away. And his kingdom, the one which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near to one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things.
Those great beasts, which are 4 kings, which arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Then I wished to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet, and the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, before which 3 fell, namely that horn which had eyes and a mouth, which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints, and prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. Thus he said,
The 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings, who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand, for a time and times and half a time. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him.
This is the end of the account. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly troubled me, and my countenance changed. But I kept the matter in my heart.
Okay. I think there's two things I want to say. I think the first thing I want to say, I don't think anyone's going to understand, but there's like this, it does this same translation, the same audio Bible does the same thing like in Exodus and Genesis. It has this underlying sound, this like whoa sound going on in the back. That's like it's the same soundtrack that's in the Mummy ride at Universal. Like it's all I can think of, like the whole time that's going on.
That's what you got out of the story?
Easy there, easy. So second, I've spent a lot of time in that line. The second thing is, as we read this, it's really tempting to do actually the same thing that we're doing on Sunday. We're in Matthew chapter 24 and 25 on Sunday, which is the apocalypse chapter of Matthew, and we're tempted to treat them both the same way. Just we forget to leave them in the book that we found them. You know, we'll read all this stuff about Jesus, and we get to the apocalypse chapter in Matthew chapter 24, and we suddenly are like, we take it out and we're like, this means something completely different than everything else we've been reading about. You know, like all that stuff. We need to leave it in here. And this one, we need to remember to leave in this part of Daniel too. Well, Daniel as well, we'll say. And so we just, as we talk about it, like, how is this adding to what has come before? You know, like we've been dealing with all these visions of these other kings and all that stuff, and now Daniel has a vision. Like what's the path that we are trotting here? So, with those things being said, what stood out to you? What did you think was interesting? I definitely have a fun one, but we'll get to it. What stood out to you?
One thing I have in my little hands the from another Bible study from another author called MacArthur. He is of the Calvinistic slant in his ministry. He wrote a study on Daniel. One thing he cross-referenced is Isaiah 27:1 in a description of the ancients back then, back in Daniel's time, looked at the Mediterranean Sea as a satanic, very, very satanically. So
yes,
so that's one interesting thing about that.
Yes, that's like Jeff is speaking the truth there, like that's, and so I mean that's like you see that all through the Bible too. I talk about this a lot, like on certain things, like at the very beginning of the creation narrative, the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, and it was all formless and void and all that stuff. He was hovering over the waters. That means like it's all the scary stuff of the sea type of thing. The scary in Job, when God shows Job the very scariest thing he can think of, it's Leviathan. It's a sea monster. So God is taming the sea as they cross over from Egypt to the wilderness. Like they're at Sinai when they cross through on dry ground. Like these are all things. It's why baptism is connected to the waters. Like waters are this thing that aren't traditionally understood as being safe or good. It's like, and I think there's still something deep inside of us. Jeff, I don't think you've ever heard me talk about this. Other people in here have this. I still think we have this same instinct inside of us, that water is to not be trusted. And I can prove it too. At least I can prove it in my own life.
Well, look at all the novels and things depicting several monster type themes.
Yeah.
We're dealing with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I mean,
exactly. Like it's scary. Like, do you guys remember when you water ski? It's my favorite example. When you water ski and you fall off the skis and you're waiting for your friends to finally notice that you're not being pulled anymore. And even though you got the life jacket on and you're waiting for them to turn around, do you let your toes go as deep as you possibly can in the water? Or do you try, while remaining cool, to be as shallow as possible? Like that, I think there's still something deep inside of us that it's untrustworthy down there. Yeah,
You can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see it like that. And you can even know, like, I'm in the deep part. There's nothing underneath here except for bass and, whatever else. But Leviathan's under there. He's going to eat your toes. I think sometimes we treat that as like a foreign idea, but I think that idea still exists inside of our psyche, I think. So you have all these novels about it. You have all these stories. So
in verse 4, he talks about lions and eagles' wings.
yeah,
There's another reference to that in Jeremiah 49.
yeah. All right. So Jeff, we need to have fun with you on this one. For those who've been in Bible study a long time, it's not eagle's wings. It's I will lift you up on. Do you guys remember? Ed, do you remember? Oh, he's not.
Sorry.
So we're talking about eagle's wings. Remember, it's not. Yeah, it's vultures. it's buzzards. They didn't make a distinguishment between eagles and vultures back then in the language. So the correct way to sing that song is then I will lift you up on buzzard's wings. Yeah, you remember? So anyway, I interrupted you, Jeff. What were we talking about?
No, I'm just saying in verse 4 when he talks about the lion and had eagle's wings.
Yeah.
It's another reference to that from Jeremiah, who was a contemporary of Daniel's.
Yeah. Well, there's all these things. Yeah, there's all this
interwoven.
imagery. Yeah.
He's to pray to every one of them, the lion, the bear,
Yeah.
and all the things that come up in that chapter.
Yeah, and what was the word you said at the beginning?
Leech it.
Oh, they'll eat you. Yeah. Like that. They'll get you. So yeah, they're all powerful, carnivore. Yeah.
All those kingdoms were that way.
Yeah.
Treated people.
Yeah.
I need to read the Old King James Version of this verse 5, because in the New King James they said 3 ribs in its mouth.
Yeah.
And in the Jewish Study Bible it says fangs, 3 fangs in its mouth.
Oh yeah.
Quite a difference between ribs and fangs.
Yeah. We can look that up real fast. You want to?
That one.
I
Like that. Here, we'll share the screen. I got it ready to go. I figured we would probably be doing some word stuff. So I don't want to share sound. I don't want to optimize video this time. So, all right. So let's see. What verse is it? Oh man, I even guessed right. Let's see. In its mouth had ribs. So let's see. Let's look up the word. Let's see here. Oh, look, it's the only time it's used like this. Ribs. It's interesting that the Hebrew Bible translates it. Let's look at the Strong's number real quick. Yeah, that's the only time.
Mine said they could be referring to the 3 kingdoms. The Medes,
So-
Babylonians.
So look at the definition here. See this definition? To ascend, to go up, to rise. And so they're talking about 3 ribs, but I think fangs works too. Like they're trying to these things that go up, like is kind of the sense that is going on with the word. So that's to ascend or go up. So so he's got these things that are going up in his mouth. You know, like that's, so if you have fangs, ribs, I don't know, translate it however you want, the things that are going up.
They're among his teeth anyway.
Yeah, among his teeth. He either needs some flossing or he's got big fangs. Like it's, and arise and eat the meat. All right, so what else stood out to you? What else stood out to you in here as we walk through here?
The animals represent all the different civilizations and powers that came in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's the same amount of animals that were in the statue that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about too. Remember, it's 4. And so, you know, like, remember Nebuchadnezzar had, what was it, gold up top, and then like silver and bronze, and then the stony bronze in the bottom.
Iron and then clay.
Yeah, then iron. Yeah, that's right. That's iron and clay. So that is kind of, you know, it's the same kind of type. And it's 4. Does that mean like 4 corners of the earth? You know, with that 4 number there, does it mean like all the powers of the world type of idea? Like,
well, one thought is the theme, I think, is.
Hold on, Jeff. Hold on, Jeff. Gloria.
The most powerful kingdoms at that time.
Yeah.
Could be that.
Yeah. All the powerful kingdoms. Yeah. All right, Jeff, go for it.
It says here like the Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greek, and Roman empires.
Yeah. I've heard that definition a lot. Like it's over there, but it's, you know, you think about, you know, it could be that, it's our phrase that we all love around here, the now, not yet, right? Like the now, not yet. Like it could mean like all these things, but I think we see some of this stuff today too. And we're not looking for signs of the times. We're looking at, you can see these patterns where power and the powerful like consume, you know, like the unpowerful type of thing. And I think that idea is going on. We definitely saw it back then. We see it now too. So what else is going on in this?
The other thing is the ribs represent kingdoms defeated and absorbed by the Persian Empire, Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt.
Yeah.
That's one theme that they.
Yeah, just this all-consuming power type of idea, right? Yeah.
And always hungry.
Always wanting more. Always wanting more.
Kind of like a kid.
A kid?
Yeah, you're always wanting more stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know how many kids really don't want? They're always asking for more stuff.
There are adults like that.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, all right, let's continue moving on here.
Amazon stays in business.
Yeah. You have the leopard, and you know, in the back he has like wings like a bird. And then dominion was given to him. And then on this 4th beast is the most dreadful and the terrible. He's got 10 horns. And remember what we know about the number 10? It's kind of like all the horns, you know, which is kind of an interesting idea.
The interesting idea about that, the little horn representing the Antichrist.
Yeah. So like this
Revelation.
Yeah. So the mouth was speaking pompous words, right? That came off the little horn, you know, which I think you see something that's probably pretty often. You know, it's you don't have to go back far into history to see these despots that are always speaking in pompous words, right? Like I think, you know, you have like one of my favorite movies is Gladiator. You know, and that's, you know, none of that's real, but like it's like the Caesar, and that's, you know, there's this kind of young guy and he's always speaking these pompous words. But, you know, we know like that's what brought on the French Revolution. that's what brings on all these things. I was watching a documentary on the Gilded Age the other day, and you know, like there was a lot of pompous acts going on from the Vanderbilts. I was going to say Vanderlips, but that's a family here at church. Yeah, they're nice people. But the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies and all that stuff, you know.
The Rockefellers.
The Rockefellers.
They're called robber barons.
Yeah, the robber barons, right? Like that's we're pompous words, and we see even back in Jesus' time. We're going to get to that here in a second. About pompous words that are being said, and you get back here. So it's kind of this thing that's always being kind of talked about, and that's a theme, as Jeff said, like with the Revelation, like this Antichrist, this one that's filled with pompous words, is Antichrist, and so like that's the idea that's going on here. So yeah, that's good. That's good. It's like one of the comes from one of the horns of this tin inside of it. Let's see here. What else?
Skipping forward to 13.
Yeah, 13 is the
good
one.
The Son of Man could be referenced again in Matthew 16:27.
16:27, and also.
And then the other end, the clouds of heaven, Mark 14:62.
Also Matthew 26, and that's the big one. That's the big one. So here, I'll read this to you guys. It's Matthew 26 verses, I don't know, I'll start reading at 60. This is Jesus before Caiaphas, before the Sanhedrin around here. Jesus, verse 57 says this. Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down in the guards to see the outcome. So this is verse 59. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. Pompous words, but they could not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, two came forward and declared, this fellow, I am able to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. And this is where I want you to start paying attention, verse 62 and 63. Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you? But Jesus remained silent. And the high priest said to him, I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us you are the Messiah, the Son of God. You have said so, Jesus replied, but I say of all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One, coming on the clouds of heaven. Then the chief priest tore his clothes and said, he has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look now, you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? He's worthy of death, they replied. Okay. Jesus suddenly quotes Daniel chapter 13. Did you notice that? And so, because I've always read this in the gospel and said, why did the high priest tear his clothes and get all upset? Well, think about what Jesus is quoting. The Son of Man sitting at the right hand of majesty. This is a response to the pompous words of that beastly horn that's saying all these things, to what Jeff has called the Antichrist, and to what is also referred to as the abomination that causes desolation, right? Like that's like all these things. Jesus calls the high priest like that horned beast.
And Mark also.
He does it in Mark as well.
Mark similar in chapter 14, starting about verse 59, is going through the same kind of back and forth with Caiaphas, and it quotes the same thing.
Yeah. So I've always wondered, why did Caiaphas get so upset? And it's because Jesus is calling him the horn that is speaking all the pompous words. He's saying that he is the evil one. No wonder he rips his clothes, because he knows the scriptures. He knows this stuff like the back of his hand. No wonder he's gets so upset. And that's like the one thing that Jesus quotes. Fascinating, right? Fascinating. So, and I think that tells us how it's being interpreted by Jesus. Like, here's just another leader stuck on his own power, just using pompous words. And he's, to quote Jeff here, the Antichrist.
Also,
There's a lot of yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say also in that there's a reference to this in Revelations 20-22 about this whole about the Son of Man.
Yeah, yeah, like that's and it
and
references
the Antichrist.
And that's right before that final battle when it's all destroyed and all that stuff. And that's kind of what you're seeing here is that all of a sudden, the ancient of days, one like the Son of Man, the Messiah comes and has dominion and everyone serves him. Despite, and notice what's going on here, despite all the scariness of those beasts, like it's like there's not even a battle. Like it's just, it's like the one like the Son of Man shows up and it's done. Like that's which is kind of interesting. Ed, you're looking like you want to say something.
I think it's just interesting that the ancient Jewish people, when they hear Son of Man, to them it just meant human being.
Okay, yeah. Is that what all their notes are saying in there? Now, does it say a certain type of human being?
Just a human being.
Just a human being, yeah. And that we put that special language on it. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Once this book is over.
Well, Jesus refers to Son of Man later on.
Yeah. And so that's that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
No, I think it's fascinating the language they use for time, season, and they use season and a time and the way they mark time for a season and a half, or time and a time and a half.
Yeah, how long is that?
Or forever.
I think one of them I forget which one is like a 3.5 year time span. I think it's the time that they provide that God is allowing the Antichrist and the beast to subjugate the saints at that time to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which tells me I'd rather be now than when that occurs, because I do not want to be there when I have Satan running rampant for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I'd say the last 3.5 is worse than the first 3.5. When you get reading about that.
Let's see here.
Could be pretty nasty. But I remember in your sermon, you talked about the 7 woes.
Yeah.
Jesus was always going down, clamping down on the priests, telling them what they weren't doing the right job.
Yeah. Those said, "Woe to you, Pharisees!" Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
7 times.
Yeah, in Daniel 7:21, they talk about God will permit the Antichrist to wage war against the saints. That personally, I don't want to be there when that happens.
Yeah. Like that's. Let's see. So I'm looking at the note in the for verse 13, talking about the Son of Man in the Hebrew Study Bible, and they're like it's idiomatic, it's language for being human being. However, the celestial being is like a human being, has a human countenance. For the author is most likely represents a heavenly figure who will exercise judgment, perhaps Michael. And then it says the Christian tradition, especially in the Gospels, saw this as a prediction of Jesus, the heavenly Son of Man. The messianic use of this title is a Jewish idea as well. Enoch and Ezra uses it in that way. Some rabbis rejected the future messianic interpretation by arguing that either the predictions had all been fulfilled in the past, or that Daniel's predictions did not include the end times. So that's interesting. That's an interesting note about. And remember what we talked about last week, that the Jewish rabbis had no problem disagreeing with one another. like that. And you kind of saw it in that note there, like they're actively disagreeing with one another.
Well, there weren't there groups that this did not believe that there was there would be a resurrection, an
Yeah,
afterlife.
in the Gospels, that's the Sadducees. Yeah,
Right.
Sadducees. Yeah,
That's in Matthew.
yeah.
And I find it interesting in the time of the New Testament, talk about the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the other, I think the other one were the lawyers. But when at Moses' time, they did not exist. The only ones that existed at the time of Moses was the Levites. They were the ones that are supposed to maintain the temple.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, in between Moses and the New Testament, where did the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the attorneys and the lawyers come about? When did they rise up? When did they rise up? Because my understanding, at one time there was only going to be the Levites to run it, and then the Levites were supposed to choose one out of them each year to.
They're all kind of from Levites still. I can't remember. I heard the history of the Sadducees. The Pharisees were kind of old, like they've been around a long time. The Sadducees, there was something. The Sadducees were much more political,
Right.
than the Pharisees were. That's why it's interesting that they all kind of get together at the end to crucify Jesus. I can't remember where that was. I was reading that somewhere, and
yeah, I don't recall reading where they rose up out of the Levites to have so much power that they had.
Yeah, well, that priestly class were all from those Levites, like
right?
That's where they all came from, and there were just been different sects. And it makes sense. There's different sects of Catholicism. There's different sects of Lutheran. Can you believe it? Like that. And so, that's just kind of the nature of how things happen.
And
Yeah.
my Bible says Aram, A-R-A-M, one like a son of man.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind
of. Aram.
Yeah.
Like that. That's so, and that's like they're transliterating the word. That's verse 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see where it's at.
Let me, I'll get to 13 here.
Yeah, after he says one like a human being, and then it gives me the footnote on that, the human being, Aram, one like a son of man.
Okay. Let's see if I can quickly get.
This is New Revised.
Yeah.
Standard.
Here, let me share the screen here. We'll look at the Hebrew again.
And it's Matthew 22 that tells you about the Herodians and the.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. It was recently that I was reading something, so I was probably getting ready for that sermon, because that was just a couple weeks ago. Matthew 22. Let's see. All right. So so they have Kibar, and the two instances both happen in Daniel. Let's see, let's look at the Strong's number. And then let's see here. Bar. So Ezra, like the son of, okay, so it's like son. Yeah, Bar is son. Like that's the root word. Like it's like a man, and then
Yeah, we see that word
yeah.
in the description.
This is one like
Simon, or Paul and Peter.
in the clouds. He reached the Ancient of Days and was presented to him.
Yeah, like that's and that's actually a good translation. One like a human being, like that. That's like it's like sewing over here and is presented to God. So that's interesting. All right, moving on a little bit. What else kind of stood out to us here? It's like my heading for this says that the vision is interpreted. So it kind of goes through it again here. I have an underlined verse 17. Those great beasts which are four kings which rise out of the earth. Like I think the reason why I underline that is that's really interesting language. Like so like you have the one like a human being, the one like the Son of Man that comes and he looks like him, but he's like presented to the Ancient of Days. But these four kings, they come out of the earth, like they're part of the creation here,
There that's gonna happen in the future.
It comes out of the future.
Yeah, from an old Bible study.
Old Bible study. Yeah. So like that's and I think that's part of that now not yet, type of thing. That I think you see this stuff happening all around us, right? Like that's what are you cackling about down there at the end?
Nothing at all.
So this is Daniel's vision, but who's interpreting it?
Who's interpreting it? Like that's he kind of interprets it on the backside of it. What's interesting about this vision, and we're going to get another one next week too. Like 8 is really similar, just different characters basically.
The note I have is the 8th chapter is supposed to explain the 7th chapter.
Oh, does it?
And for this chapter, there's a very similar theme in Revelations 13.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It almost mirrors Revelations 13 nearly mirrors this description from Daniel.
Which maybe that's where Revelation's getting it, huh? Like that's.
I mean, John nodded no. John was very fluent in the Old Testament.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's Daniel's vision, and he's interpreting it too here. But
he says he found it. There's an angel, or I don't know the exact word he uses. There was I approached one of these standing there and asked him the true meaning of all this. He gave me the interpretation of these things. So it's Daniel telling you what his dream told him it was.
Yeah. And so that's what we've got. That's what we've got.
And from Deuteronomy, and then from Revelations, in there when he's talking about performing great signs, in Deuteronomy, God warned the Israelites to be concerned not so much about what someone says, but what they do.
Yeah. That's some of what we were talking about last night too. Ed, you were about to say something.
The Jewish Bible says, I approached one of the attendants and asked him the true meaning of all this.
Okay. So that goes back to the word angel. With angel, the angel just means it's angelos. No, it's not. That's New Testament. Did I just mute? Okay, there we go. It's Moloch. It's Moloch in Hebrew. His angel is Moloch, which is the same. We have a book of the Bible called Malachi. And so, that all that means is messenger. Malachi means messenger. And so an angel, like whenever we think of angels, we immediately put on like bright clothing, wings, all that thing. That's what we think of immediately. That is not when you talk to someone 1,000 years ago to 2,000 years ago, what they would have been thinking. They would have thought, someone on a bicycle with a little messenger bag next to them. They would have thought of someone like giving a message.
Sure, but go back to the angels who spoke to Abraham and told him he was going to conceive. He and Sarah were going to conceive. They were messengers. They were
messengers.
People.
Yeah.
Angels.
Yeah.
The angels that announced Christ's birth.
Yeah.
Messengers.
Or do what?
Pastors. Angels. The messenger is the pastor.
Oh, okay. Yes. Call me angel. You just all heard that from Gloria. Like that. Yeah, you all heard that from Gloria. Like that's, so, but that is, and I think that's why the Jewish translation is helping sometimes, because it's actually translating some of that out. Because we have, angel is not a bad term, we just have a lot of baggage on it. You know, we have a lot of baggage on the term angel. And so like that's why I always talk about how it actually means messenger. And so these messengers come up to Daniel and you know, like help him interpret the message there. So let's see, what else from that section? So they rise out of the dirt, and I wrote the word statue next to verse 19. Why did I do that? Oh, I think it was just because like it's referencing. Oh, they have the statue in the notes too. That, well, what do you know? What do you know? So you know, so verse 19. Then I wished to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron, nails of bronze, which devoured, broke into pieces, trampled the residue with its feet. You know, again, so it's doing all of this, yeah, terrible stuff, and this pompous words flinging horn that pops from the midst of it. And notice how it all kind of just goes away fast. Let's see here. I was verse 21. So that pompous horn comes up, and I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints, prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in the favor of the saints and the Most High, and the time came, and the saints possessed the kingdom. Like in one verse, it was like, well, the Ancient of Days showed up. Like, oh, all right, fine. Like that. Like Revelation does that a lot too.
That's enough.
Yeah, like that's Revelation does that a lot too.
Are they referring to the Jewish remnant there?
The Jewish remnant, like, is that what they're calling the saints? I don't know. What do you guys think? What are you talking?
I have a reference for Revelation 17 for that, but I haven't looked it up, so
yeah.
And I think here's where an atheist would probably chime in and say, why would God do that? Why would God let, if God is all knowing, is all powerful, and is going to eventually step in and be done with everything, why does he allow what is prophesied to happen? You know, where he's going to allow Satan to wage war on the saints. If God's going to eventually step in and say enough, why? You know, I'm just playing like a question, like one would be like an atheist. You know, why would he say that?
I like the way I look at it is, you look out around now, and there's a lot of pompous things that are said and causing people a lot of struggle. And how I used to really define Revelation for people is when I would talk about it. I don't have to talk about it much here. People aren't as concerned with Revelation here as they are in the Midwest. But it's just, this is the way it is. Like, I don't have to talk about it as much. But I think, yeah, I'm not going to get into why I think that is. But I used to tell people, it's like, I think Revelation, and I think this is going on in Daniel too, and like when we look at the apocalypse in Matthew chapter 24, that we're looking at now, I think it's an understanding of, like, I know life is scary. I know life doesn't all work out. I know life doesn't, you don't know what's going to happen, but it's okay. Like, I win in the end. Like that's like, I think it's a recognition of that sometimes life just sucks. You know? Like that's, and I think it's a recognition of that. Like, it's, these pompous horns are all around us. We can see them today. You know, like they're all around us. These antichrists are all around us. These abominations that cause desolation are all around us, and they look like they're going to win. They're not. They may look like they're winning right now, but they're not going to. And that's that's kind of this thing that I keep seeing in all of this. I wrote next to verse 25 when it kind of goes into this poetry. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given to his hand for a time and a times and a half a time. Is that a reference to the exile, for which they're in right now? I mean, think like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those are their exile names. Those are their slave names, their Babylonian names. Daniel, we know by his Hebrew name, but his slave name, his exile name was it Belshazzar? Yeah, something like that. So we know these things. He's existing in this time of the time and half a time, but as we read in verse 26, but the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion and consume and destroy it forever. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. And his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. All dominions shall serve and obey him. So suddenly the kingdom reigns over all the sun. I think there's a hymn that says something like that. And it gives it back to the people. It takes it away from that pompous speaking antichrist little horn of a beast, And think about everything we've seen before, how we have these four beasts. When the last time we saw Nebuchadnezzar, what was he dealing with? He was a beast, right? It's like, if you think about how the story is being told, Nebuchadnezzar becomes literally the thing that he is on side, that he has treated the people terribly. He has treated everyone around them. He's a pompous talking horn, and he becomes a beast of the field. And then right after we meet that, we're now meeting all these other four beasts. And this
what's really funny is the Antichrist is the smallest of the horns.
Yeah, but I think you're seeing something there, I think you're seeing something there. Like it's with all this pompous words, and then which makes it really fun when you think about it again, that Jesus is sitting there calling Caiaphas that horned beast, with its speaking pompous words. That's what it's over there. And he's like, no wonder, you guys all know me. I'm not that horned beast that's speaking pompous words. That's what Caiaphas is doing. Off with his head. Kill him. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, we're running out of time. Does anyone have any last things that they've noticed in this?
Why is Daniel alarmed?
Why is Daniel alarmed? Oh,
Yeah,
the way he says it at the end?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Well, if it was me, I would be concerned with having to live through it.
Yeah. Well, and think about Daniel's life and what he's had to go through. He's been thrown into a lion's den. He's gotten to watch his friends get thrown into fiery furnaces that are so hot that it's killing the people that are throwing it in there.
But it's all worked out. So why are you, did you expect God to change his mind suddenly?
I mean, it's all worked out, but it doesn't mean it didn't suck.
Well, and you're in the midst of it also, so you don't really know what's coming at you. He says he's troubled by it, or I think he doesn't know where this is going or what it means yet.
I think this is one of my funeral sermons that you're talking about, Lee. That
hardly wait.
that The funeral sermon is, one of them is when Lazarus dies, you know, they want Jesus to come because he's on his deathbed and he's dying, and Jesus doesn't make it there in time, and like the two sisters come and are like beating on his chest, you know, saying, if you had only been here, you know, like I think that's an honest reaction there. If you had only been here, your magic Jesus powers could have healed my brother, but now it's too late. And then we have to remember what Jesus' response is to that, though.
He's not dead. He's just sleeping.
What does he do right before that? What does he do? Jesus, it's the shortest.
Jesus says that basically this was it was for a demonstration of the glory and the future resurrection, what it was going to be like in the future.
But Jesus does something before all that. He weeps.
Yes.
Like he cries with her. And I think I think sometimes we put God in this like unfeeling cosmic goodness type of thing. And I think God sits with us in the tragedy much more than we realize. And I think you're seeing some of that here and how Daniel is being affected in that. I think that's what we're going to see in Revelation. That's what you see in a lot of these apocalypse things. And then you translate all of this of Jesus on the cross, where he sits in the struggle of us all there. You know, he sits in the struggle of the cross and even says, my God, why have you forsaken me? You know, like that's like God is not devoid of the struggle that we sit in type of ideas. And I think you see some of that here in Daniel, but he wins in the end type of thing. I don't know. You're giving me troubled eyes.
No?
I'm
just listening to you.
Oh, you're just listening to
Yeah.
That's what troubled eyes look like. Like that's, but so I think there's some of that going on. I could be wrong.
But you're not. But you're not.
Yeah.
Jesus shows humanity.
Yeah.
Several parts.
Lots of times.
You know.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting about what we've been calling Jesus in here, and how the Hebrew,
Man, a human being.
Yeah, the one like a human is how they're translated. You know, the one like a human, like comes forward and stands before the Ancient of Days, like that's so yeah.
But even though Daniel was troubled, he didn't tell anybody.
No.
That's what he said.
So,
Well, then he wrote it
Sounded
down.
like Mary.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. A Mary connection. Yeah, that's interesting. Like that's, and so yeah, he doesn't tell anyone right then, but we have the next one to do too. And so like it's I don't know.
Are we going to meet next week?
Why wouldn't we?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me. I'm unsure now. Let's see. Yes, we are meeting next week. We are meeting next week. So like that's good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you and we'll say goodbye to everyone that's watching on YouTube. It's pre-recorded. Thank you so much for joining us today.